today we're going to talk about construction management, and we're going to talk about the reason construction management was selected as a procurement option on projects, as well as looking at a couple of specific problems or challenges that have been encountered and the solutions of which we've come up with that have obviously been beneficial to the project and to the client. Today we've got Glenn with us, who is working on 3 of the construction management projects, and Glenn's going to talk about why construction management was selected on those projects, and he's also going to talk about some of the problems that we've encountered and challenges and what we've done to overcome these issues. So Glenn, perhaps you could just introduce yourself.
Thanks, Jamie. Glenn, I've been in the industry since left school. Dad had his a main contractor business and known nothing different really. So I've worked for main contractors for probably the last 15 years on and off, and decided that I'd like to move over to more client side and support the client more in a role than working away from the client. So hence why I've joined Evolution 5, working alongside Jamie, looking after the construction management schemes.
Great, thank you for that. So today we're going to talk about, as I said, we're going to talk about 3 projects. For client confidentiality, what we don't want to do is name any sort of locations as such or the name of the project. So we're going to keep them as a project in Newbury, a project in Southampton, and a project in Romsey. So starting with Newbury, Glenn, on the Newbury project, why did the client select construction management?
Initially, the client selected construction management on the basis that it's more control for them, and we can assist as Evolution 5 in helping them get the job up and running, the scheme up and running very quickly, even though the scheme has still got a load of tricky designs, for want of a better word, because a large amount of element of the build is artisan trade, so stonework, specialist roof structures, but still being a traditional build, i.e. steel frame and brick facade. So one area that springs to mind straight away is the steel work, for example, the steel frame. What we were able to do on the steel frame was allow the steel frame to carry on being built, designed, structurally designed, put in build, delivered to site, whilst the timber wood structure, roof structure, is still being designed. Even to this day, it's still being designed. So we come up with a solution for the client where we could then say, right, okay, let's have the timber structure separate. Let's treat the connections to the steel frame as a separate entity altogether. And then we can retrofit the bracketry to the steel frame as soon as we got the design for it. So that's how we are with that one at the moment.
So it sounds to me then on the advantage of construction management on the Newbury project was around allowing the job to get to site quickly.
Yes. Quicker
Quicker than perhaps under alternative methods of procurement, but also allowing design and construction to run concurrently, i.e., once we've got, say, the underground drainage and the foundations and the structural steel element, as well as a sort of fixed layout, the design team, whilst we're procuring those items and they're being fabricated or installed on site, the design team can then work on the next element. So to give an example, that the glulam beams or the timber roof, maybe the sort of the vaulted ceilings and the like. So, okay, that's really interesting. And in terms of the challenges on Newbury, you mentioned the structural steelwork. Is there any other sort of challenges we've encountered?
Yeah, there's been one where we worked alongside the structural engineers where we had issues with ground soakaway. The water wasn't disappearing off the site. So with various conversations with the engineers, we worked out a solution where we could incorporate an attenuation system within the granular makeup underneath the roadways and the block paving. So it was a lot of input from Evolution 5 and myself with them bouncing ideas around each other, and we come up with a workable solution. But that also still allowed the foundations to go in. So we worked outside of that, the foundation design could continue, and we then could pour concrete, and we're just about today, hopefully, in the design meeting that's being held at this moment, to be wrapped up.
So great. So I mean, it sounds to me that like we're saying, we've encountered challenges, we've come up with solutions, but the project's moving forward all the time at a really good pace.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so let's move on to the Romsey Project. So perhaps could you just give us an overview of the Romsey Project and why the client selected construction management on that one?
The Romsey Project itself is the client had previous issues with other contractors on site where he was managing them themselves. So a few of the issues still outstanding. So it was a better decision for him to run with construction management because he's a busy person as a client. So he selected us. Very stringent interview basis. I had numerous meetings with the client. And explain what services we could offer and how we could make his life easier, and we can take on the project itself. So the project is a one-of-a-kind recycling wash plant facility for aggregate, first of its kind in the UK, and it's the first of its kind to be sat on a purpose-built concrete structure. The basis of that then was he had a design or an indicative design to start off with. We then just had to sharpen the design up and then put that in front of the client and then employ contractors to carry out the works. So we carried out a proper tender evaluation on behalf of the client, sent out for quotes, got them back, sat in front of the client, decided what ones would be the ones going forward with recommendations, selected them and raised the orders, bits and pieces like that. So yeah, it's the job's moving forward.
So it sounds to me then the client, as you say, is very, very busy. So it's a resource issue for him, capacity issue. But I was also on the understanding that the issues the client also faced with previous contractors around workmanship and defects, and not having a degree of quality control or quality assurance, and therefore the client was looking for a solution whereby somebody was actually making sure, firstly, that the trade contractors are undertaking quality checks and there's good workmanship in terms of installed items, but somebody also over the top of them making sure that there's further quality checks and inspections. Is that the case?
Yeah, so there's a two-part role with Evolution 5 down the road at the moment, whilst the site's running. There's a site manager on site employed by Evolution 5 after a very stringent vetting process. Is there working very nicely with the client. And then I then go down there once, twice a week and oversee the quality of the workmanship, making sure that everything's up to spec, up to standard. And basically I take the signature on behalf of the client. So we take that responsibility on board and make sure that the client's happy with what he's paying for.
Good. And construction management, one of the things with construction management is a lot around relationship and trust and collaboration, and giving the client assurances that we're doing what's needed on his behalf. So what sort of things do we do? How do we work with the client now and then? How, we talked about the vetting process. How do we maintain that relationship with the client, and how do we give him that level of assurance that his project's in safe hands?
So I'm constantly in communication with the client's PA, daily communication, phone calls every day. I pop to site whenever I'm passing. It's not too far away from the office. So, and with one of the other projects not too far away as well. So whenever I'm either at one, I'll go to the other. Just for pop my head in the door basis, and just to make sure that the client's reassured that we're always there as a company. So yeah, and then just constant updates, site reports, quality assurance documents, weekly completed. Really just to make sure that the client is happy and feels comfortable that no matter what the problem, no matter what time of the day it is, I'm always there, or Evolution 5 are always there to try and assist.
Great, that sounds good. So it sounds like it's going well, that one.
Yeah, we've encountered a couple of minor issues, but only because it's a one-off system. So you're going to get these. It's a learning curve for everyone, but nothing which
of
is
course,
not
one of its kind. Would you say it's the first in the country? A bit of a learning curve for everyone. But sounds like it's in safe hands. So moving on to the last project we want to talk about, which is in Southampton. Just give us a quick overview of what the project is and why the client needed a construction management solution.
Okay, so the other project that we've got on is is the remnants of a company that had gone into liquidation, another main contractor. So we were employed by the client direct, really, because construction management was the quickest solution to get the project back onto track. So I think it was about 2 weeks from when you took the call to when we actually on site with a site team. And we were up and running. We then carried out as many surveys. I think we had about a week to go around and get our head around the scheme. Then we were on to starting procurement, bringing in, hopefully, negotiations with trades that were on there who were let down by the previous main contractor, negotiating commercial agreements with them, with the assistance of the client, and up and running.
So, yeah, I can really see why construction management is really beneficial there. Something we probably didn't mention on the other projects, I think a real sort of key bonus, or I'd say bonus, that's probably not the right word, but certainly valuable, is under CM, we're also the principal contractor under the CDM regulation. So just talk about a bit about, we've got to site really, really quickly, how we sort of managed to make sure that the site was safe, compliant, and, we've done the construction health and safety plan and the likes. Just talk a bit about that.
Yeah, so again, we had this week really from getting to site, picking up the pieces, getting the paperwork together. So I created the construction phase plan, got that in, got it approved, got it signed off, back up and running. Rectified or modified all of the existing health and safety documents that were there, the health and safety signage, transferred it over all from the previous contractor name to Evolution 5. Everything was endorsed, signed off with the health and safety or the CDM coordinator on behalf of the client within 5 days. So
pretty quick, and that sounds like everything was covered there on the CDM side of things. So, like the other projects, we've talked about issues maybe encountered or challenges, and I'm sure inherent of taking over a project anyway, regardless of the circumstance, you're inevitably going to encounter challenges. So, what are the sort of things we've encountered on this project, and what solutions have we come up with as a company to keep the project moving and to sort of minimise the risk to the client?
This one, there's been numerous challenges from day one, really. One even that I picked up on just our walk round after the first week was I'd noticed some sulphur or some corrosion around a mechanical item that had been fixed to the ceiling, to the underside of the precast concrete slabs, which, when I looked, all of the weep holes within the precast slabs had been filled up. So I was a bit uncertain. The building had been exposed to the elements throughout the winter. So I was kind of convinced that the hollow core of the slabs contained water. So we suggested to the client that we need to get a drill team in, drill out and allow the slabs to vent. The client was a bit hesitant, didn't really want to spend the money, but accepted our suggestion and our guidance and went with it, and we were correct. We drilled in the slab, gallons and gallons of water was pouring out. Now, if this was left, it would have caused potential corrosion to the precast slabs internally, various other corrosion elements, and then if the building had been sealed up, ceilings had been fixed, decorated, you would have had stains coming through, various other bits of it. So that was one, as an idea, situation where we put forward to the client, and the client was like, okay. And now the client's happy that we put this forward to them.
Yeah, no, I can see that. And is there anything else that comes to mind? I mean, I know we're talking about a challenge on each project, but I think on something like this, it's good for the client to or anyone watching this video to understand that there are plenty of challenges in construction projects anyway, let alone taking over one. So give us a flavour for something else.
So another one was the dry lining contractor, the previous dry lining contractor. When we'd walked around, carried out a survey, we appointed a new dry lining contractor. They came on site, walked around with us, and then said there's a lot of the work that's not compliant. So we then employed British Gypsum to come down and carry out a survey, walk round. They agreed there was various areas of stud walls which were non-compliant on the fire rating side, but also structurally. So it could have been a case of, right, let's take all the walls down and start again. But then this is not beneficial to the programme, the construction programme period, and also the client's pocket. So we sat down, worked out a workable solution with the client's design team, with British Gypsum, and then probably saved them 75% of the walls not having to come down, where we could modify them, change them, or slightly change the design. And they're now back on board, walls are going up, and I think the client's now happy that, again, hesitant that we weren't making the right decision, but trusted us, and it's evident that we did make the right decision.
Yeah, and I mean, you can really see with that. I mean, that's kind of threefold, really, isn't it? We've saved time on the program by not taking all these walls down and quickly addressing the issues. Yeah. I mean, clearly there'd have been a lot of costs associated with that, and that's obviously kept to a minimal of only doing what's necessary. And we can only do what's necessary because we've now had everyone input, you know, the professionals, the, you know, British Gypsum, you know, leading in dry lining systems. But also the quality. It means at the end that you know, whilst it might not have been as it was intended to be installed, it's structurally safe, it works, it's compliant, the deflection heads and all these various things are in place. So I can really see why that's you know, a really good solution to those issues. I think to wrap up though, for anyone watching, I mean, you and I both main contracting background. Just share your thoughts on construction management, how that differs from main contracting, and you know, do you find it better, or you know, what's your comparisons?
For me, I find construction management more beneficial to the client, more satisfactory for me because I've got a direct relationship with the client. Whereas with the main contractor, you're working for a main contractor, you've kind of got a separation.
Commerciality, right?
Yeah, and you know, you've tendered for that scheme as a main contractor. Yes, the client's set back. But they are still involved in weekly or fortnightly meetings on site, monthly meetings, but they're not in control to any degree. The main contractor is in control, whereas with construction management, the client is still fully in control with our support as a company. So and it's nice to have that relationship with the client because it's the relationship is a lot closer, and you've got to build that element of trust. And once the client trusts you, then it's fine. It's a far better world to be in my opinion.
Yeah, that's great. Well, look, thanks for sharing your thoughts today. Thanks for sharing the Evolution 5 construction management projects. Hopefully anyone watching this video can distinguish the difference between construction management and main contracting, but moreover just see the benefits of construction management, because it's not really widely used as much as perhaps it should be, and it's certainly not understood as widely as perhaps it should be. So I hope you found value in this video. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact us, and we really look forward to hearing from you.